Hi, guys. All right, we're back at the book of Acts. We're on Acts 25. It's page 1875. So grab your Bibles and read along with me. So, right now, what we're coming to is Paul has been in prison or house arrest for 2 years. Felix kind of left him there as a one last ditch to appease the Jews. And now Felix is gone, which is good because he was a bad dude. Festus is now in charge, and Festus is actually a pretty good dude. He's pretty honest. All right, so it says 3 days after arriving in the province, Festus went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem, where the chief priests and the Jewish leaders appeared before him and presented the charges against Paul. They requested Festus, as a favor to them, to have Paul transferred to Jerusalem, for they were preparing an ambush to kill him along the way. So most likely these were the same people, trying to be careful with my words, the same people that planned the last ambush that got foiled because of Paul's nephew, but the ones that said, we will not eat or drink until we've killed him, right? Makes me wonder if they are still not eating and drinking, because if that's true, they'd be dead, right? So obviously, whatever, they're lame. Okay, so now they're trying to once again prepare another ambush. Festus answered, Paul is being held at Caesarea, and I myself am going there soon. Let some of your leaders come with me, and if the man has done anything wrong, they can press charges against him there. After spending 8 or 10 days with them, Festus went down to Caesarea. The next day he convened the court and ordered that Paul be brought before him. When Paul came in, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him. They brought many serious charges against him, but they could not prove them, right? So they're just saying all these things that Paul's doing, and Festus or even Paul are probably like, do you have proof? Do you have evidence? And they're like, no, we just don't like the guy, right? Then Paul made his defense. I have done nothing wrong against the Jewish law or against the temple or against Caesar. Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, are you willing to go up to Jerusalem and stand trial before me there on these charges? Paul answered, I am now standing before Caesar's court, where I ought to be tried. I have not done any wrong to the Jew, to the Jews, as you yourself know very well. If, however, I am guilty of doing anything deserving death, I do not refuse to die. But if the charges brought against me by these Jews are not true, no one has the right to hand me over to them. I appeal to Caesar. After Festus had conferred with his council, he declared, you have appealed to Caesar you will go. So once those words came out of Paul's mouth, I appeal to Caesar, for sure he has to go to Rome now. He's not going to Jerusalem. He's not going anywhere. He is going to Rome because he's a Roman citizen. That's his right. Now there's a lot of things written of why he appealed to Caesar, why he wanted to go to Rome. One is, cool, now he gets a free trip to Rome, direct access. He already knows that Jesus encouraged him and said, you'll definitely make it to Rome, right? And now Paul's like, well, let's just do it. Let's make this happen. Let's get the thing done, right? Another idea was that the reason why he wanted to go to Rome is that if he goes to Rome and stands trial or appeals to Caesar there, then most likely the Christian religion would be more noticed and pulled aside from the Jewish religion, and Christianity would become its own entity apart from anything else, because it's such a new religion that's coming up that it would give Christianity a name, especially in front of all these people, if he were to appeal to Caesar. So there's a lot of reasons why he decided to appeal to Caesar. All right, so verse 13, it says, the title is Festus Consults King Agrippa. It says, a few days later, King Agrippa and Bernice, his wife, which she was kind of weird. If you guys read anything about her, she married really young. She married at 13. And she married a couple times. She kept going back, though, to be at home with one of the Agrippa. Who was it? Was it an Agrippa? If you guys look down in your notes, Acts 25:13, it kind of talks about the weirdness she had with Agrippa. Like there's maybe some incest there, like she liked her brother a little too much. So Bernice is a weirdo. Anyway, so it says, a few days later, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea to pay their respects to Festus. Since they were spending many days there, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. He said, "There's a man here whom Felix left as a prisoner. When I went to Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews brought charges against him and asked that he be condemned. I told them that it is not the Roman custom to hand over anyone before they have faced their accusers and have had an opportunity to defend themselves against the charges. When they came here with me, I did not delay the case, but convened the court the next day and ordered the man to be brought in. When his accusers got up to speak, they did not charge him with any of the crimes I had expected. Instead, they had some points of dispute with him about their own religion and about a dead man named Jesus, who Paul claimed was alive. I was at a loss how to investigate such matters, so I asked if he would be willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial there on these charges. But when Paul made his appeal to be held over for the emperor's decision, I ordered him held until I could send him to Caesar." Then Agrippa said to Festus, "I would like to hear this man myself." He replied, "Tomorrow you will hear him." So something that's cool about Paul being able to speak in front of King Agrippa is if we rewind our lives back to when we were able to be at school in a classroom without a crazy COVID-19 virus affecting the entire world. If we go back to Acts 9:15, when Paul had his conversion on the road to Damascus, something that the Lord said to Ananias that Ananias would say to Paul is this. So I'm going to read it to you in verse 15 of Acts 9. But the Lord said to Ananias, "Go, this man is my chosen instrument to proclaim my name to the Gentiles," which he has done, "and their kings, and to the people of Israel. I will show him how much he must suffer for my name." So back in Acts 9:15, Jesus says to Ananias, right, about Paul, that he is going to even speak to the Gentiles' kings. Paul's going to, right? That Paul is God's chosen instrument to go and speak even to kings. And now we see that that is coming to fruition. That prophecy, the prophecy that was spoken here is now being fulfilled all the way up here in Acts 25 when Paul is able to speak to King Agrippa. So that's so cool that it's now happening. So I wonder if Paul is realizing and remembering what Ananias had said to him, right? So now we're on verse 23 where it says, Paul before Agrippa. The next day, Agrippa and Bernice came with great pomp and entered the audience room with the high-ranking military officers and the prominent men of the city. So obviously he's a king. He's not going to come by himself. He's going to have all of his, people surrounding him and whatever. In your Google Slides that I would like for you to attach your workbook pictures to, I put a picture, a painting of Paul speaking in front of Agrippa. So if you're wondering what the heck that is, that's what it is. So you can kind of get a sense of, what this artist thought it would look like. At the command of Festus, Paul was brought in. Okay, we're on verse 24. Festus said, "King Agrippa, and all who are present with us, you see this man? The whole Jewish community has petitioned me about him in Jerusalem and here in Caesarea, shouting that he ought not to live any longer. I found he had done nothing deserving of death, but because he made his appeal to the emperor, I decided to send him to Rome. but I have nothing definite to write to his majesty about him. So Festus is like, I got to send this guy to Rome. I don't even know what to put in this letter because he hasn't done anything wrong, right? So he's telling these people. So hopefully with Festus talking to Agrippa and all of his people, maybe Festus will be able to find something to write in this letter that he needs to send with Paul to Rome. All right, still on verse 26. But I have nothing definite to write to you, to his majesty about him. Therefore, I have brought him before all of you, and especially before you, King Agrippa, so that as a result of this investigation, I may have something to write. For I think it is unreasonable to send a prisoner on to Rome without specifying the charges against him. So Festus is like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. I don't even know why I'm supposed to send him because I can't think of anything he's done wrong. Festus realizes it's not a criminal dispute, it's a religious dispute, and Festus is like, I don't know what to do, right? All right, so that's it for Acts 25. It's pretty short. Your workbook is only 2 pages. For those of you that want, I'm going to post another video and explain a little bit about the workbook in it. So stay tuned. Love you guys.